So this is a how-to video on how to take something like this and turn it into a works cited. So first of all, your works cited should end up looking similar to this, where you have the phrase works cited emphasized in the middle. There's no special doings to the font. It is just plain 12-point Times New Roman. Your sources should be listed in alphabetical order, and they should be double spaced with hanging indents. So if I have something that looks like this, the first thing I need to do is I need to turn this so the highlight is completely blank. So some of these are cutting and pasting from EasyBib or the databases with some sort of background highlight, and then you want to remove that. The other thing is that some of these author titles have been put into all caps, and that is incorrect. So you want to remove that. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to change this to Times New Roman 12-point font. I'm going to also change it so the font is black because it's coming through gray. I'm going to type in Works Cited. I'm going to skip down one space. I'm going to put Works Cited in the middle. Then I'm going to make sure that Griffith is alphabetically before Rubinstein, which it is. So I'm going to leave these in the order that they're in. I'm also going to remove the space in between the two entries, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm going to take these. I'm going to make them double spaced. And now I have to do something called the hanging indent. So the hanging indent, pardon me, I should select the whole document. So therefore we get the double space between Works Cited in the beginning. So now I didn't put a space between the entries, and that feels kind of weird. So the whole concept of a Works Cited is to provide your reader with a list of your research. They don't need extra space and length. Imagine you had a paper with 28 sources, and if you had an extra space in between all of those, that's effectively almost, 8 more inches of paper that you're using. So in order to shorten how many pieces of paper people are using, we eliminate those spaces. And with 2 sources, it doesn't seem like a big deal or like it's necessary, but you have to think that these rules apply for any length of works cited. So a hanging indent is a common thing that kids often say, I don't know how to do that. So here's what you do. You take your cursor, you select the second line to the end of that citation. You bounce up here to the ruler tool and you move this lower arrow over 1/2 of an inch. Now it moved the whole entry over. So now what I need to do is I need to get this top line back over to the side. So I take the bar on the top and I separate it from the arrow. Boom. 1/2 inch for those lower lines. Now I see Rubinstein starting there. That's exactly where I want it to start. I'm going to take that lower arrow, drag it over 1/2 an inch. Notice how the whole thing went over. I have another step. I'm going to put my cursor on that top line. I'm going to drag that bar, separate it from the arrow, pull it over. And folks, that's it. That's a works cited. It's formatted correctly. And the only thing I'm going to tweak to this is I'm going to take this top margin down to 1 total inch because that's not my default setting. So I just want to make sure that everything is happening at the 1 inch margin. So I'm going to change these margins. So they're at 1 inch. And there we go. It's really that easy. It's not super complicated. Remember, your rules are changing the font. You're going to center the title. It doesn't have anything special. You're going to double space everything, making sure that there's no spaces in between the entries. And then you're going to add those hanging indents by playing with the arrow and the bar that are located up in the ruler. Double check your margins so you're set at 1 inch all around. Another way to do the margins 1 inch all around is to go to File, go to Page Setup. Did that not select? Here we go. It's struggling to find it because of my tools for my screencast. So page setup, you can also set the margins, but my screencasting app is not letting me select that when I pull it down on the drop-down menu. So works cited aren't that tough. If you have a works cited that's not formatted properly, you will receive a no on the yes test, and it's -5 or -10, depending on what your assignment's guidelines are. So you're better off just doing it right from the first time.